Senator Bill Cassidy says Blanche vote was not black and white. Politico and CBS place his comment after Todd Blanche won a narrow Attorney General confirmation, with PBS and the New York Times describing Republican concern over Justice Department independence. The useful point for the audience is not a personality fight. It is whether senators who back the nomination now demand visible limits, staffing commitments, or public explanations from the department. Cassidy's wording signals that even supportive votes can carry reservations, especially when courts, career lawyers, and oversight committees are watching how the new Attorney General uses federal authority. The evidence to keep in view is the CBS interview transcript, the recorded Senate vote, and any Justice Department statement that follows. If Judiciary Committee members schedule oversight questions, or if federal judges criticize new department positions, this story becomes a practical test of accountability rather than a Sunday show quote. Until then, the confirmed fact is narrower. Blanche has the job, Cassidy is defending a complicated vote, and the next record to watch is a dated hearing notice, department memo, or court filing. A later Politico or New York Times report should show whether that oversight pressure becomes a formal request, an internal policy commitment, or simply political cover after the vote in Washington this week. Typhoon Dolphin hits eastern China, more than 1 million evacuated. Al Jazeera reports the evacuation figure, while the Los Angeles Times says Shanghai canceled at least 1,300 flights as the storm approached the coast. ABC and CNBC also point to transport disruption, flood warnings, and emergency preparations, making this a public safety story before it is a damage story. The immediate question is whether local shelters, rail operators, airports, and power crews can move people out of exposed areas without creating secondary risks across a dense coastal region. The evacuation count also tells the audience that official action began before a final damage tally was possible. The best evidence is not viral storm footage. It is the next official bulletin from provincial emergency managers, airport authorities, and meteorological agencies. If rainfall totals keep rising after landfall, eastern China could face river flooding even after winds ease. If the storm weakens faster than expected, the headline may shift from evacuation scale to how quickly flights, ports, and schools reopen. Watch the dated weather advisories, Shanghai airport notices, and local government counts for any change in injuries, outages, shelter numbers, road closures, power restoration priorities, reopening plans, hospital capacity, port delays, rainfall totals, rail service, reservoir releases, emergency staffing levels, and evacuation return timetables across affected provinces. Taylor Farms voluntarily recalls fresh jalapeños over Salmonella concerns. The New York Times reports the voluntary recall, while CBS ties related store products to possible Salmonella contamination, and the Straits Times says salsa and guacamole items are part of the broader concern. KSBW also reports Taylor Fresh Foods pulled Jalapeño products amid the outbreak. The practical viewer question is simple: which products, dates, and stores are covered, and what should shoppers throw away or return before serving food? This is not a story where brand names alone are enough, because recall details can differ by distributor, prepared food counter, and state health notice. Salmonella can be serious for older adults, young children, pregnant people, and anyone with a weakened immune system, so the next official update matters. The evidence viewers need is a lot code or product list, not a generic warning about peppers. Viewers should check the company notice, the Food and Drug Administration recall page, and local grocery alerts before using fresh jalapeno items bought in the affected window. If investigators update the outbreak count or expand the lot list, the public risk changes immediately. Until then, the grounded action is to verify labels, avoid guessing, follow posted recall instructions, and seek medical advice if symptoms appear after eating recalled foods from prepared counters or packaged dips. Israel rejects Trump's Gaza plan. More details emerge on the Strait of Hormuz and other Mideast news. Reuters says Netanyahu called the proposal unacceptable, while AP says the same regional news cycle includes new details on Gulf shipping routes and Hormuz risk. The Washington Post describes rejection of a Trump-backed framework for Hamas disarmament and Israeli withdrawal, and NPR tracks the broader peace plan dispute. The key point is that diplomacy, security demands, and energy logistics are moving together. A breakdown over Gaza can shape regional bargaining, and a bypass route around Hormuz can change how markets price disruption. The first record to watch is any written Israeli or U.S. proposal that names sequencing, disarmament terms, or withdrawal obligations. The second is shipping and energy reporting that shows whether Gulf states treat Hormuz tensions as a near-term operating risk or a longer-term planning problem. If Washington, Jerusalem, or mediators publish a revised framework, the story moves from public rejection to a concrete negotiating test. If tanker insurance, port scheduling, or oil market commentary changes first, the practical impact may show up through trade before diplomacy changes. Keep the distinction clear. Public statements set the frame, but dated documents and market behavior show the consequences for civilians, governments, shippers, energy buyers, regional mediators, and military planners today. Russia and Ukraine have intensified aerial attacks, with civilians bearing the cost. CNN frames the escalation around intensified strikes and civilian harm, while First Post reports overnight exchanges between Moscow and Kiev, and NPR highlights the human toll through the death of Oleksiy Yukov, known for recovering war dead. Futura Doctrina also tracks missile barrages and military reshuffling, which makes the story both humanitarian and strategic. The viewer-relevant issue is how air attacks stretch emergency services, air defenses, and diplomacy at the same time. Casualty numbers and damage claims can change quickly, so the strongest evidence is the next dated statement from local authorities, Ukraine's Air Force, Russia's Defense Ministry, and independent monitors. If both sides keep expanding drone and missile ranges, more civilians may face alerts far from front lines, and repair crews will have less time between strikes. If talks resume, battlefield pressure may shape what either side is willing to accept. Watch for confirmed casualty updates, air defense interception reports, and any response from mediators. The safest reading today is that the aerial campaign is widening, the human cost is visible, and the next reliable record should come from official emergency or military bulletins rather than unsourced battlefield claims, especially after overnight attacks on cities, infrastructure, power systems, and rescue crews tonight and in coming days.